this afternoon. As we are all aware, we haven't had the participation of the NDC at our IPAC meeting since 2021. We hope that your honoring our invitation to this meeting will pave the way for the NDC to return to IPAC and be part of the important discussions that take place here. We have called this meeting this afternoon to inform you about our decision on a matter that lies before us. As we are all aware, the NDC invited the Electoral Commission to supervise the conduct of its presidential and parliamentary primaries slated for Saturday, 13th May 2023. Several meetings have been held between the Commission and the Elections Committee of the NDC to discuss the modalities. A set of guidelines have been agreed upon with the Elections Committee of the party. Key among the guidelines is the requirement that the register to govern the election would be made available to the contesting parties by the Elections Committee of the NDC at least 7 days before the conduct of the elections. Earlier this week, the Commission received a letter from Dr. Kwabena Dufour's campaign team alleging various errors and anomalies with the register. It was based on this that the Commission felt it necessary to meet with the Elections Committee of the NDC as well as the representatives of all the presidential aspirants to deliberate on this matter and agree on a way forward. That meeting was to have been held today. However, yesterday we were served with an application for interlocutory injunction seeking to restrain the Commission from supervising the conduct of the presidential and parliamentary primaries due to the alleged anomalies with the register. Gentlemen, in order that we are not cited for contempt, the Commissioner has taken the decision not to supervise the conduct of the presidential and parliamentary elections until after the determination of the case by the court. We thought we should bring this to your attention. Therefore, the meeting called to discuss the concerns of Dr. Kwabena Dufour campaign team has been cancelled. Thank you. So, Pablo, but the part that would interest me, and for which reason I asked that question, is a 7 days gap, which
Yeah,
you're supposed to.
but Omar, if you even listen to the letter makes an admission that a list has been given to them, but there are anomalies in the list. So clearly, the party has satisfied the condition of giving them that list. Anomalies are nothing new. Even the Electoral Commission that is funded by state funds, before every election, there are challenges with the voter register. They that are even provided with state security and everything. So it is nothing new. These are the anomalies that they wrote to us. The committee met them on Monday. The committee met Dr. Dufour's team, and then we promised to look into their concerns. And like I said, so the list, and so they even make an admission that they have received the list, but there are anomalies in the list. So it is not like a list has not been given to them at all.
But this list of the 8 constituencies that is still outstanding would be given to them latest end of business today.
No, Umaru, if you had listened to me, what I said was that the list has been provided.
The album. I'm referring to the album. I'm referring to the album that will be given to them tonight.
Even the 8, what I said on the 8 is that it is not that we don't have it. It's just that there are some loopholes. There are some gaps. Some names are without pictures. And so everybody has the same information. It's just that there are 8 that must be perfected. And as of yesterday, we were still receiving information, and then the team was working on perfecting it and handing it over to them. I don't believe that 8 is enough to warrant Dr. Dufour going to court to stop the election. But if nothing was being done, it's different. But immediately you raise your concerns, and rightly so, when there are concerns, the committee must sit to address it. Monday, you met the committee. Tuesday, you serve us with an injunction order. Clearly, it was not in good faith, because if after Tuesday nothing was done, but as of that day when you even brought it up, we admitted that, okay, fine, if these are what the challenges are, we will quickly remediate for you. And so we're in the process of remedying it, and then this action followed.
You said the action of Dr. Kwabena Dufour may amount to the failure to exhibit good faith in your dealings or relationships with him. Tell me what your internal party rules say. When can a party who is aggrieved in your party go to the courts, external courts?
When you have exhausted all internal processes. And I don't believe all internal processes have been exhausted.
So does it mean he has breached some of the party rules?
It is not a breach per se, but so when you exhibit bad faith, doesn't mean you may have breached anything. But being a party person and coming from the party, we were expecting that as a party person, he would have been more tolerant if there were issues with the party than to resort to court. Because on Monday, your committee met with us. your team met with us. We promised to look into it, and we were looking into it. So if we meet on Monday, and then on Tuesday we are served with an injunction order. If it had even been served on us on Wednesday, and then Tuesday we did nothing. Because yesterday we were in a meeting at FEC when the injunction was served on us, when we were deliberating on the issues that he had raised to find a solution to them.
In such situations, because now the party, you've been ridiculed and your Congress may be thrown off gear, the preparations you have would have to be relooked at. I'm sure there will be money that would be lost. If it comes to that, are there internal mechanisms you use to penalize people who would have dragged your party into disrepute? And I'm referring specifically to Dr. Kwabena Dufour in this instance. If he conducted himself in a way that you would not have expected of him as a party member, are there penalties?
I don't believe Dr. Dufour has breached any part of the party's constitution. Everybody is entitled to go to court once you feel aggrieved. And Dr. Dufour is not the first party person to have gone to court. And so I don't think the party is going to penalize him because he's gone to court. Rather, we expect that Dr. Dufour will come back to the table for all of us to sit down as a party and have some level of some kind of negotiation that can allow Congress to take place on Saturday. Because like you rightly said, it is not just about the flag bearer. It is not just about Dr. Dufour. There are over 220 parliamentary candidates, 220 constituencies that will be holding parliamentary primaries. And people would have campaigned. People would have done all that they have to do. And so if Congress or conference is postponed, what it means is that the cost is going to be so huge on a lot of people. And I believe that Dr. Dufour, I know, will definitely come to the table to sit down with the NDC for us to find an amicable solution to the problem.
Very well. Thank you so much. But when is that meeting going to be, if there's going to be any meeting at all?
Umaru, these are internal issues. So if you may leave that to us. When we are done, we'll put out a statement and tell the world we've resolved our problem. And believe me, the NDC is capable of resolving this problem.
What about the court action that has been brought against you? If it should be called at all, that will be on Monday.
He's the plaintiff. So I believe we still have tomorrow. We can always file for an abridgment of time. And so let's see how it plays out. We have tomorrow, we have Friday. Today is just Wednesday.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate you for the time.
You're welcome.
That's George Opariado. He's national youth organizer of the party. We picked that information from the NDC side suggesting that the party may go to court tomorrow and invite the court to deal with the matter that it has scheduled for Monday, the 15th of May, to be addressed tomorrow. In which case, if the court determines that there is no case, the Congress comes off on Saturday. But if the court determines that there's a case, that Congress would then have to be postponed. So that is another additional information we've just picked while doing that interview with Jojo Parado, who is National Youth Organizer of the NDC. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We'll be hearing more from NDC members who have interest in this particular upcoming Congress, plus the reactions that are coming, the latest development being the injunction placed on the Congress by Dr. Kwabena Dufour. But before that, there's something else in the NDC camp that Eno will be sharing with us.
The district's court in Tamale has slapped a 3,600 Ghana cedis fine on former NDC Northern Regional Communications Officer Hadi Pagaza, and one Mumini Osman for assaulting a radio presenter of Dagbon Radio in Tamale. The accused persons, arrested on Monday, were charged on 4 counts, pleaded guilty to all charges. The charges include conspiracy to commit crime, to wit assault, unlawful entry, and threat of death. The 4th count of threat of death was, however, later withdrawn by the prosecution. The defense counsel told the court that the accused persons have shown remorse and prayed for a non-custodial sentence. The judge, His Worship Amadu Isifu, before the ruling, cautioned the defendants to not repeat such unlawful acts. He further urged hosts of political shows and their guests to be circumspect in their pronouncements and actions.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Eid Mubarak, breaking the fast. So take what you need fast from Toshiba and Media. Media and Toshiba Eid Mubarak promotion.
Assalamu alaikum, assalam.
599 Ghana cedis is for Toshiba standing fan forever. 849 Ghana City at Toshiba Microwave. Get a media tabletop fridge, 1,999. It is necessary. A Toshiba fridge this Eid Mubarak will take care of your friends and family and cool everybody down. Media chest freezer, top low, 4-burner gas stove, grill, and solo microwave. Your top class Toshiba and media showing love this Eid Mubarak. Call 0242 439 437.
Insightful, intriguing, intelligent, and informative. The City Breakfast Show offers an attractive alternative to the noisy mishmash of morning radio. Tune in to the City Breakfast Show for passionate discussions on issues that matter and enjoy interviews where duty bearers and decision makers have their feet held to the fire. The City Breakfast Show airs from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday to Friday on 97.3 City FM.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. We are also around the globe on citynewsroom.com. The big story we are looking at tonight is the NDC's Congress, which may not come off this weekend as scheduled because Dr. Amadu, for one of the aspirants in the flag bearer race, has taken the party to court for the non-provision of some information relating to the election, photo albums, as a need for that election. Let me rather bring some of your reactions. Brains sends a message from Ho, and he says, initially I thought Dr. Dufour was doing the right thing by raising issues of anomalies in the NDC voters register. But as it stands now, it is clear that the man foresaw embarrassing defeat and is only resorting to communist inferior tactics. The mischief is clearly sponsored by invisible forces. Zilis Dwayne in London says this is just a political suicidal strategy by Dr. Dufour. Aka Paul Jr. in Ahafomim says the NDC has to eat the humble pie and pay heed to the calls and concerns of the good old doctor in order to avert any future disgrace and humiliation. Babamu sends a message from Tamale, and he says the current NDC national executives admits that there is a problem on the presidential and parliamentary electoral roll. I think Dr. Dufour and his team have a genuine case. Justice for Dr. Dufour. You can also send your message 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996. Eyewitness News is coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. So the issue is that there's an injunction that has been secured by Dr. Kwabena Dufour, and which injunction would mean that the party's Congress this weekend will not come off. But we have just picked information that the party will be heading to the court tomorrow to plead with the court that it hears the case that they originally scheduled for Monday 15th May to be dealt with tomorrow, so that a decision is taken and determination made by the court as to whether the Congress should come off or not. As and when the party files and they appear in court, whatever the outcome would be, Trust 97.3 City FM to share details with you as and when we get them. For now, though, we'll suspend discussions on the NDC momentarily and take some other stories.
The Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana has expressed disappointment after a meeting with the National Labour Commission to discuss their request for the government to approve their new salaries ended inconclusively. JUSAG also lamented the absence of key stakeholders, including the Ministry of Finance, the Labour Ministry, and the Office of the President at the meeting. JUSAG has already threatened to lay down their tools if their demands are not met. Speaking to journalists, JUSAG's General Secretary Abdullahi Yakubu accused the government of showing bad faith in addressing their concerns and called for urgent action.
The meeting failed to meet our expectations. It was our expectation that the solution to the problem we are dealing with, which lies on the desk of His Excellency the President, is what would have been talked about so that the Labour Commission could advise or perhaps order the President to give us the necessary approval for implementation in the month of May, as we all expected. It's so unfortunate that when we came here, we've been here up till around 2 p.m. before we were called in. To our utter dismay, the people who matter so much in this matter and hold the solution to the problem, i.e. the Office of the President, the Ministry of Labor, as well as Finance, did not show up for the meeting. And since they failed to show up, it is sending a signal to us that the sensitivity and the plight of staff of the Judicial Service is not being respected. Our plight is something that is not being considered, and we take serious exceptions to that. It was later part that the Labour Ministry had a rep who joined the meeting, and in fact, it is better that the person had not joined at all, because we didn't find any use of the person coming to the meeting.
Why are you saying this?
The person did not have that solution to the meeting. The person cannot give us the approval. The solution lies on the desk of the president to give us the approval for our salaries to be paid. And we said he didn't even have idea about the matters that we are dealing with. Yes. So we expected that people from the flag staffers would have come. You recall, on the May Day, we showed our placards to the president, and they know what we are dealing with. We have not even had acknowledgement of receipt of the petitions we've sent to the presidency. Nobody from there has also engaged us.
Abdullahi Yakubu is the General Secretary of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana. The Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofusua Samoa, said the Commission has directed the Labour Ministry to organize a meeting with all stakeholders to resolve the issue. The parties are expected to meet again on May 24.
The Commission has directed that the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations to convene a meeting of all stakeholders. That is the members of the JUSAC, the executives, the management of the Judicial Service, Office of the Chief of Staff representing the Presidency, the Ministry of Finance, and then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They are to engage under the chairmanship or the presidency of the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations Minister, and to report the outcome of their engagement to the Commission.
It appears the members of JUSAG are extremely disappointed in the whole process. They sense some delay.
Delay
In the process.
No, but the Commission looked at the chronology of events, and their letter to the President was delivered on the 20th of April. And it's just 20 days. And the Commission took the view that dealing with any ordinary office or dealing with a minister is different from dealing with the presidency, who's in charge of virtually all the ministries and all the numerous problems you and I have in this country. So they even acknowledge the fact that the 20 days is less than 3, just properly is about 2 weeks of working days. So that is it.
Ofusua Samoa is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Our big story tonight has to do with the NDC. The party Congress for this weekend has been injuncted by Dr. Kwabena Dufour over issues relating to the photo album that has been presented by the party for the elections coming up this weekend. Let's go to the camp now and understand what the position of Dr. Kwabena Dufour really is. Kofi Kukubo speaks for the Kwabena Dufour campaign team. Mr. Kukubo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
What's the end game for your side?
Oh, we are still looking for credible voter.
Currently, the register is not credible.
Yes, not credible. That has always been our stand.
The party says you already have in your possession a list of people who are contesting or who are delegates in this particular election. That list should suffice for every candidate. The album is just an additional feature that the party is giving you. Why not, supporting the party's efforts by saying that it is appreciated that you've been given at least some of the contents of that album, but the main list is in your possession, so you already know who you're campaigning to. What's a big deal with a photo album?
The issue here is not about knowing who already we are campaigning to. The fundamental issue has to be clearly defined. The issue at stake is not about knowing who we are already campaigning to. The issue at stake is making sure that those who are coming to vote are the rightful people who are coming to vote. That no single delegate in Pandai, Pasa, or we also is removed from the register. And we are saying, as it is now, the register is fraught with inaccuracies and irregularities. So it's not about knowing people who you are going to, you are campaigning to. It's about making sure that the rightful people, the people who are eligible to vote, are the ones in the register. And that can only be verified after full complement of the voter register is submitted and verified. And we are saying that this is where the gap is in the process. So now if they are raising some other issue about lists that we already know who we are campaigning to, I think they are not getting the point still. The point is clear and definite. It is about the document that will be used on the day of election, not the document that will be used or is being used on the day of campaign. So they're not getting the clarification still. That's what we requested. Let's sit at a round table, draw a roadmap. Let's solve this internally so that we can agree on the roadmap to clearly define the issues that will be agreeable to everybody so that we go into an election happy. The person who wins, we know that he has won fairly and in a free environment. That is all the argument.
The anomalies that you talk of, do you get the sense that it was deliberately done to go against one candidate and favor another?
The fact is that when a register is fraught with irregularities and inaccuracy, is subject to gross manipulation. And that manipulation is what we are preventing. Even if it is done to favor Dr. Kobana Dufour reject, but we want clean, credible voter rates.
But all other candidates have the same thing you have. Why are you making it a big deal?
Kojo Bonsu has just made it clear that the election must be postponed. He's in the news. He has spoken to that the election must be postponed because the voter register is fraught with irregularity and inaccurate.
All right. So the party's view that you already have a register which is used to elect all your executives in the constituencies, and that the photo album is just an added feature, does not mean anything to you.
Now, what is the purpose of the photo album? If it's of no principle, where were we given photo album?
It's an additional feature that the party says it was just, trying to make.
Yes, to serve what purpose? Those are the questions you'll be asking. To serve what purpose? To display in Dr. Kobona's ballroom, to be watching the photos of people. So what is the purpose? If the photo album is not of any consequence, where have they invested their time to create photo album or voter register, including the branch code, that means the police station code, the party ID number, age, sex, the position the person is holding, the office the person is holding in NDC, the image of the person, a EC voter ID card, and then a place called tick. That means when the person goes through the process of collecting the ballot paper to go and vote, the ticket to indicate that this person has come to vote. So what are they saying is that to enhance what? And for what purpose?
Have you?
These are the critical questions. When they are talking, ask them. If it's not of who will invest in a product that is of no consequence.
All right. Have you also considered the other consequence of your action? Postponing the election will come at a huge cost.
Huge cost. Dr. Dufour has invested by paying the fee to contest. Dr. Dufour has taught the entire country. Are we also pursuing his cost, his investment into this election?
Have you exhausted all the internal dispute resolution mechanisms that are available to your party members who are aggrieved before going to the courts?
I think our letters have proved that.
I didn't catch that.
Our correspondence or our letters to submitted have proved that. We are yet to even receive a single document of response from them.
Judge Oparado, I spoke to a short while ago, says after you drew the attention of the party to the anomalies, it swung into action and started taking steps. And indeed, as we speak, he says by the end of today, the outstanding 8 constituencies that had challenges with the electoral album would have been ready for distribution to you.
This is quite different. We are having 2 days to election. And the National Secretary is saying that they have not completed the register. It just go to affirm.
No, they say they have completed the register, but not the album.
They say even remaining 8 constituencies. You just made mention of it. I'm just taking you by your own word.
Yes,
and I'm saying that.
No, I'm just saying that the party says register you already have, is album you don't have, but they will give you the remaining 8 constituencies by end of business today.
So we are establishing again the fact that the voter register, which is the photo album to be used on the day of election, is incomplete. And that's the point you have been raising all this while. And we still stick to that point.
Mr. Kubo, it's Wednesday today. The election was on Saturday. If the party supplies you with the 8 outstanding constituency albums, like it said, would you let the election come off on Saturday because you would need the album for Saturday, not for tomorrow, not for the day after, but for Saturday?
We are looking for credible voter register that will guarantee free and fair election on the day of election. It's not about just throwing some documents against it. Okay, collect is ready. We are saying that the voter register to guarantee free and fair election must be credible, must be devoid of single mistakes, duplication of images under different names. It must be devoid of any question. That is a credible register. And that is our focus.
So for you...
The focus has... Oh, no, I want to establish the focus. When you're directing the question, the focus is credible register that will guarantee free and fair election.
And you don't see that happening this Saturday?
How will you verify a document that is submitted to you 3 days to election or 1 day to election to guarantee its credibility?
The party says it would meet with your boss tomorrow or the day after. If the party meets and puts a proposal of him letting go and letting the delegates decide, how is he going to respond?
You mean they're meeting the Cabinet for tomorrow?
Well, they haven't given a specific day, but they said they'll be having a meeting to see if they can deal with this matter
so
outside
court. Until that meeting takes place, I don't have any opinion.
What do you make of critics who say you foresaw defeats and you ran to the courts to suspend
the exercise? I consider it as those are the opponent statements. They are all over social media, and we know where they belong. So those things that.
Are you confident of victory, though, regardless of the issues we are discussing now?
We are 100% confident.
What percentage do you hope to win the election?
We are not going to project any percentage.
You're not confident, or you did not do any work that would give you an advice?
I am the head of research and strategy.
And your research says you would win by what percentage?
We don't declare percent.
What percent? Sorry.
We don't declare percent.
I think I didn't get that. Can you please say that again?
Why should I declare percentage on air?
Okay. So you're not working. You're not working with any percentage.
We are working towards victory, and that percentage is known to us.
Wish you all the best, and thank you for speaking to us.
You're most welcome.
Kofi Kukubo, he speaks for the Kwabena Dufour campaign team. Let's go to Kojo Bonsu's campaign team as well and speak to Mohammed Alassan. He speaks for that campaign. Mr. Alassan, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Umaru. How are you?
I'm well. Where does Kojo Bonsu stand in this ongoing brouhaha? What's the official position?
Well, we are in the middle. We are waiting for the discrepancies to be sorted. And whenever the election director of the NDC decides that the election will be held, it should be held. There were concerns of which we agreed with the concerns that, yes, there were some incomplete constituency voter register lists. We also raised concerns about having the accreditation for the polling agents and delegate agents that are not yet ready. So these concerns we have tabled that they should try as much as possible to ensure that all these things are cleared. But if they are not able to clear these discrepancies, then we agree that the election should be postponed. So this is our position.
So you stand by what Dr. Kwabena Dufour is doing then, even though you have not gone to the court, you have not joined the application, but you agree with him and you do not think the election should come off this Saturday?
We are of the opinion that there are discrepancies and that the discrepancies must be resolved before the election. If the discrepancies can be resolved and we are all happy, the election must go on as scheduled. If the discrepancy cannot be resolved before the election, then the election should be postponed. That is our position.
The party says it would give you the outstanding album by end of day today, 8 outstanding constituencies. Would that suffice as a resolution to the discrepancies so that you let the election go off, come off on Saturday? Dr. Kwabena Dufour's side thinks no. There will still need to be some scrutiny to be done, and that just 2 days to election would not be enough a time. If they handed over everything to you tonight, would you allow for the election to go ahead, or would you agree that the election goes on off on Saturday?
If we are handed the documents today, we will go through verifications and check if everything is fine. If we are able to finish our cross-check within the time and we realize that everything is fine, then there's no cause for alarm. But if we go through the documents and still there are some discrepancies, we will bring it to the attention of the party and the election directorate that, look, yes, you supplied us with these lists, but still, A, B, C, D, there are problems. If we are able to resolve it before Saturday, yes, we go to the election. But if we are not able to resolve it before Saturday, then of course it needs to be postponed because still we haven't solved our problem. So that is the position.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
That's Mohammed Alassan. He speaks for Kojo Bonsu, who is an NDC flag bearer aspirant. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka, in Accra. We are also around the globe on citynewsroom.com. Let's move to issues having to do with utilities now, and Eno has a story for us.
Guinness Ghana Breweries has accused the Ghana Water Company Limited of bad faith after it disconnected water supply to the Achimota site over a 6.7 million cedi debt. The company had earlier denied reports of any disconnection, but in a sharp U-turn, Guinness Ghana admits that its water supply has been cut, but without notice from the water company. In a statement cited by City News, Guinness Ghana explains that discussions were ongoing with Ghana Water, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and the Ministry of Sanitation following what it describes as an arbitrary reclassification of the business in the September 2022 tariff adjustment. It says, per the arbitration process, no disconnection was to be effected. Here are excerpts of the statement.
Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC can confirm that water supply from Ghana Water Company Limited to its Achimota site was abruptly cut yesterday, Tuesday, 9th May 2023, at 8 p.m. without notice to the company. However, we confirm our breweries continue operations. The disconnection was executed by a task force from the Ghana Water Company Limited, notwithstanding the resolutions agreed from a meeting on Tuesday, May 9, 2023, chaired by the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources and attended by the Managing Director of Ghana Water Company Limited and the leadership of Guinness Ghana. The outcome of the meeting was to await the results of the PRC's investigations and to hold a tripartite meeting between GGB PLC, GWCL, and the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. During this period, no disconnection was to be effected. In view of these engagements, Guinness Ghana is dedicated to the process and is currently awaiting the final investigations and outcomes of its petition before the PRC on the matter. Guinness Ghana remains committed to doing business the right way and will continue to engage all stakeholders in pursuit of a just resolution. Despite the disconnection, Guinness Ghana operations and production have not halted. We continue to operate our brewery to serve the needs of our many loyal customers and consumers.
You heard excerpts of a statement released by Guinness Ghana Breweries accusing Ghana Water Company Limited of showing bad faith after it cut its water supply, read by City News' Caleb Kuda.
Emmanuel Ade Johnson is the Accra East Regional Chief Manager of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Mr. Johnson, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening to you and your cherished listeners.
It appears from what the company is saying, you have acted in bad faith. There was an agreement that they have taken to the PURC. PURC is yet to make a determination, and you went behind their back to cut water supply to them. What do you say to that?
Unfortunately, the situation is not the way Guinness reported the matter to the public. We had engaged Guinness Ghana Limited, GGBL, on the 2nd of May at the Ghana Water Company head office, and the meeting was chaired by the managing director. Then, in the meeting, Guinness Ghana Limited were supposed to make payments with their indebtedness to the company. And currently, it's not even 6.7 million. It's past the 7 million mark. It's around 7.3 million Ghana cedis. And Guinness Ghana Limited was disconnected on the 27th of April 2023. And based on the intervention from the MG, they were reconnected. And that incident, from that incident, we called Guinness Ghana Limited to come to the negotiation table on the 2nd of May. So the 2nd of May meeting, then we scheduled the meeting to the 9th of May, where Guinness Ghana Limited was supposed to bring a payment plan, which they refused. We sent them a mail, we engaged them, we called them on many occasions to give them a feedback on whether they were coming for the meeting on the 9th of May. I, the regional chief manager, I wasn't privy to the meeting Guinness Ghana Limited had with the Honorable Minister. So I have my receivables in my books are huge. Guinness Ghana Limited owes me 7.3. So how do I collect my money? They are not paying on accounts. They don't want to pay on the tariff category PURC has set for them. What they fail to realize is that once PURC set a tariff and it is gazetted, it's by law. It cannot be changed until the next review. So I don't think we acted in bad faith. They know very well that they need to pay all the amount. PURC have told them to pay, and they are refused to do so. So I went there. The alternatives available to me is to disconnect them, and then force them to pay my money.
But they say that the reclassification you put them under as an industrial business was not fair, and that is why they went to the PURC to make a determination. What informed this reclassification which they are fighting?
It's PURC who does the reclassification. PURC has put all brewery industries, bottled water company under one category, bottled water and drinks. And there's a tariff for it. And the tariff is gazetted. And Guinness GGBL fall under that category. We cannot go and put them under a different category. If we do so, then we are in contradiction with the law. The law is going to deal with us. Because it's a gazetted tariff. So how do we reclassify them? So if they want a reclassification, they have to go back to PURC and wait for the next review.
All right. So the way forward, would you reconnect them, or for now until you receive your money, is a no-no?
This morning, I had the opportunity to send GGBL a mail and told them, look, they have been disconnected. And we understand that they are one of the major consumers. And we treat our major consumers with respect. If their water supply is not good, we go at length to restore, to improve water supply to their companies so that they can improve on their businesses. And so they have to come to the drawing table, tell us how much they have in their kitty to pay us, how much they have, and also to come to a payment plan. They have refused to come to a payment plan on how much they want to pay. For 3 months, if they want to pay the payment for the next 3 months and clear their indebtedness to the company, and that's fine. But until then, if they don't come up with a payment plan, the Ghana Water Company, Accra Issues, will refuse to reconnect them, and will send the water to other areas, including Dome, Taifa, for people to drink the water and pay us our money.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome, sir.
That's Emmanuel Ade Johnson. He's Accra East Regional Chief Manager of the Ghana Water Company Limited. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Up next, we have business news. And then on Point Blank, my guest is the chief spokesperson of the government of Akufo-Addo. His Minister for Information, MP for Fuasia Kojo Bonsu. We are discussing a number of issues. Specifically, the RTI would feature prominently. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
It's true that life can be complicated and navigating the realities of the modern world even more so. Sometimes you can find yourself in trouble just because you didn't know better. But as the adage goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. A Question of Law seeks to deconstruct the legal framework within which our daily lives function. A Question of Law airs at 6 p.m. this and every Thursday, only on City TV.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citybusinessnews.com. My name is Safo. Let's settle for the details. A banking consultant, Nana Otua Champong, says the speedy operationalization of the Financial Stability Fund will provide temporary liquidity and solvency to banks in the country. This comes as the country's efforts to restructure its domestic and external debts resulted in some top banks recording losses. For instance, GCB Bank PLC, the country's largest lender by assets, posted a 593.4 million cedi net loss for the year. Standard Chartered Bank Ghana Limited, the biggest by market value, reported a loss of 297.8 million cedis. Nanotia Champong has been speaking to City News.
There will be some challenges in the terms of liquidity and solvency. But then the Bank of Ghana has established a financial stability fund in which 3 billion is being pumped, and it will be available to any bank which temporarily faces a challenge in terms of liquidity, faces a challenge in terms of solvency, which is capital. So the future looks good as far as banking is concerned. Yes. Okay. So IMF, the governor of the central bank, has indicated that there's a high possibility of getting the sanction by the end of May. Now, for the other challenges, the fund of 8 billion, not all the banks will be resorting to that fund. So out of the 23 banks, 22 reported, and of the 22, 6 showed positive results, i.e. profit, and it was the remainder that showed negative. Now, those who showed negative have already turned positive. So any problem they had, only a temporary problem. That temporary problem is where they may result in the stability fund. But for some of them too, they don't even need to resort to the stability fund because it reverses itself. And once it reverses itself, then they are back to business as usual.
Banking consultant Nana Utie Champon speaking there. Now, inflation has dropped to 41.2% for the month of April 2023. This represents a 3.8 percentage point decrease from the 45.0% recorded in March 2023. This was captured in the Consumer Price Index data released by the Ghana Statistical Service on Wednesday. Per the data, food inflation also stood at 48.7% and non-food inflation 35.4%. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kubna-Enim highlighted the impact of the main drivers on the increase in the overall inflation rate for April.
In the month of April 2023, rate of inflation stood at 41.2% on a year-on-year basis. This 41.2% that was recorded for the month of April 2023 signifies a 3.8 percentage drop relative to the rate that was recorded for the month of March 2023, which stood at 45.0%. From a food and non-food perspective, we recorded a 13.3 percentage point difference, with food inflation for the month of April 2023 48.7%, and non-food inflation for the month of April 2023 35.4%. We have seen a much sharper drop from a non-food perspective, as non-food dropped by 5.2 percentage points between the rate that was recorded in March 2023 relative to the rate that is recorded for the month of March 2023 40.6% and April 2023 35.4%. From a food perspective, we saw a relatively smaller drop between the month of March 2023 and April 2023, with a drop of about 2.1 percentage points. In the month of March 2023, food inflation stood at 50.8% and April 2023 48.7%.
That was government statistician Professor Samuel Kubna-Enim. Now, government has underscored its commitment towards mobilizing funds to combat climate change, particularly affecting agriculture. This, it believes, will help in the development of the country, especially in rural areas. Speaking to the media, Chief Economics Officer with the Ministry of Finance, Ajwa Freku, indicated that government is in the process of joining the Global Green Growth Institute, which would facilitate access to funds for agriculture. She said this on the sidelines of a workshop on enhancing climate finance access for the agriculture sector in Ghana.
So GGI comes with enhancing our access or building our capacity to access climate financing with a focus on agri financing. And we believe that it's a major activity that will help governmental agendas as far as climate change is concerned. So we welcome it and we are ready to partner with them. We haven't joined yet. The President of Ghana expressed interest to join, and we have not joined it. We are in the process of joining. And so we have about 5 years to collaborate with them on this program. As I said, their focus is in agri financing. And anything that will help agriculture is a major initiative so far as we are concerned, because you know how important agri is to this economy. And helping in agri financing is rural development. I would say that is helping rural development because it's developing the farmers. It's helping in increasing their standard of living. It will be helping in reducing poverty and all that, so we are for it. It will go a long way to help Ghana. Yes.
Ajwa Freku is Chief Economics Officer with the Ministry of Finance. Meanwhile, Chief Finance Manager of Global Green Growth Institutes for Africa, Sidoni Kwamgwet, has called for collaboration in African countries to combat the threat of climate change.
We are here basically so that we move from an idea to a project, right? So the funding that we can raise really depends on what are the projects and what are the needs. And usually we have ideas, but we don't have projects in the sense of it's mature, so that you can go and discuss with investors, with the Green Climate Fund. Look, those are projects. So the idea is to understand what are the priority and how can we build a project pipeline for investment in order to raise the more funding we can raise as possible for Ghana. Because Ghana is still in the membership process, I think the time frame will depend on Ghana stakeholders, but not the GDP. Yeah, as an African, I think this is really important. Personally, it's not just a job. It's really about our future. And my final role will be like, let's work together in order to adapt to this threat, which is climate change, and make sure that we are less vulnerable.
Sidoni Kwamgwet is the Chief Finance Manager of Global Green Growth Institutes for Africa. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Safo. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
City TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117, and on HD+, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD+ boxes. City TV, it's your world.
You know, your Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that?
Yes, so
somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched.
Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. On Point Blank tonight, we'll talk about a bill that sat before Parliament for 2 decades. Eventually got passed in 2019, major achievement of the Akufo-Addo government. The ministry that has been spearheading the right to information law is the Ministry of Information. Today, the minister called the press to give an update on the progress so far on the Right to Information Law or Act. So we've also dragged him into our studio tonight to help us understand what the update specifically is currently. The Honorable Minister for Information and MP for Ofuasi Ayerbe, Kojo Bonsu. I like to speak to you all the time. You're welcome to come here.
Thank you for having me, Sanda.
You know why I like to talk to you? Because I used to listen to your radio, then you became, maybe I mean to have become minister.
Well,
just that you were doing morning, I'm doing evenings. I'm not sure whether it will work.
You never know.
Maybe I should switch to.
You never know.
I should join Bernard on the breakfast.
You
show.
never know.
How are you doing, though?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm well. How is your ministry?
We're good. How's your family doing?
Family is blessed. How is your family doing?
We're good. We're good.
How is the economy doing?
The economy is, I think,
dead.
Gradually recovering from some of the major challenges we've had. I'm sure you saw the latest inflation numbers, though still very high. We're beginning to see a certain dip. Would like to believe that we've gone past the peak. The composite index of economic activity from the Bank of Ghana suggests that there's an uptick in economic activity gradually going up. We still have major challenges with, liquidity, and we're still in the process of concluding our IMF transaction. So we've seen very terrible days, but I think if you look at the dashboard, gradually it appears we're beginning to turn the curve.
The way everybody keeps talking about the IMF is almost like that's the final solution to all our problems. Is it really?
No, it's not, and I think it's a very important question you've asked. If you go back to the statement issued under my hand on the 1st of July 2022, I think we mentioned that the government of Ghana has an enhanced domestic program which had been designed to help us recover from the major shocks that we were suffering. And that to make that program effectual, we will need, well, we didn't talk about all the support mechanisms we need, but we mentioned that we will need at least some balance of payment support from the IMF. And that is what we have been working on, and all indications suggest to us that we should be bringing that to a closure pretty soon. But that will only be balance of payment support from the IMF. I think 1.4 billion in the first year, 800 in the next 2 years. But that is not the panacea to all our, economic challenges. We have a 7-part program known as the Post-Crisis Program for Economic Growth, PCPEG, which has this balance of payment part as one of the pillars. But the other pillars within it are supposed to help us ensure that, among other things, we're able to bring back growth and jobs and get the private sector really kicking and get the cost of living under control.
The IMF program itself, when you announced it, there were lots of issues that came up, but there was still a lot of confidence on your side as government that you're going to clinch the deal.
Yeah.
It appears the deal is fleeting, isn't it?
So let's look at the timelines. In July, we said we were commencing engagements and that we were hoping to complete a staff level agreement before the end of the year. I think we're successful in doing that. The data or the dates will show clearly that we managed to get a staff level agreement before the end of the year. And then we said that we wanted to get to the board by the end of Q1, which was the end of March. Quite an ambitious target. We have come very far. One of the things we needed as a prior action was to get the financing assurances from the Paris Club and then most likely China. We've come very far. In April, when we were in Washington to literally conclude the conversations, we got every indication that those financing assurances will be coming through and then we'll get to the board. So right now, we are just waiting to be taken to the board to get board approval. So March, yes, we've missed by 1 month. That's April. Now we are in May, and we keep our fingers crossed that we will be getting to the board as quickly as possible. The indications we get from within the corridors of power at the fund suggest that we should be getting there soon.
And would that soon mean by end of May or by next month?
Well, I'm not going to put timelines to it. I think we have done our part of it. We have fulfilled all righteousness.
Have you? Because the domestic debt restructuring, the external debt, you haven't done that. So you haven't really finished your homework, have you?
The homework, the prior actions included the domestic. It didn't include the external. So the domestic, we have concluded that. We have concluded the passage of the revenue measures and then the other prior actions, the 0% financing with the central bank. We've done all of those.
Okay.
So that's why I said we fulfilled all righteousness.
You
it's now in the hands of the
you
fund.
mentioned the Paris Club, and that was my last question on the economy. You have boasted to us that
boasted.
I mean, government, not you, but you speak for the government. You boasted to us that we are a proud nation and all of that, blah blah blah. Now you are begging Japan and the others to help you at the Paris Club. What's happening?
Well, we
are
as
no more
part
proud.
of, well, I'm not going to go into those conversations. As part of the prior actions, we need financing assurances. We have reason to believe that having completed the things that we were supposed to do, those financing assurances should be coming before the IMF board. And once we get the approval, we can close the chapter on the balance of payment support side, and then now deal with all of the other matters that require all of us to participate.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My guest is the Minister for Information, Kojo Bonsu. Let's talk about the RTI now. It is the Secretariat is at your ministry?
Well, no. You know, a lot of people, and when I interact with people, I get the impression that a lot of people really haven't followed the legal architecture for the right to information. First of all, it's not the RTI Act that gives the right to information.
Okay.
The right to information is a constitutional right in Article 21(1)(f) of the Constitution. The challenge was that there was no procedural act that spells out how to go about accessing that act. So for about 17 years, close to 2 decades, like you mentioned, from 1999 onwards, we were battling as a country how to enact that procedural act. So Act 989, which was passed on the 26th of March in 2019, is only a procedural act. It spells out how to apply for information, what the timelines are, who to apply to, and if you are not happy, what to do about it. Now, as part of the roadmap to implementation, we set up an RTI secretariat at the Ministry of Information for those first 6 months to prepare the grounds, to lay the groundwork. It did its work successfully. And then later we converted it into what you call the Access to Information Division of the Information Service Department. Now, that's the supply side of RTI. Because when you go to a public institution to apply for information, you are demanding it. So you constitute the demand side. Civil society groups, media houses, individuals, academia, we constitute the demand side. The supply side is provided by the ISD, by the Access to Information Division of the ISD. Then you have the RTI Commission, that is the regulator, to ensure that the supply side needs are being complied with. And then all the other requirements of the Act are being followed. So this is the architecture that we work with. And then on top of it is the ministry, which is coordinating the activities between these various organs. Now, to date, we are happy to update the public that we've succeeded in rolling out about 478 information units, properly so-called.
Okay, I'm coming on. Before so the commission is the
regulator.
The regulator.
Yes.
Is in existence.
It is in existence. They've got a staff of 120, a board of 7. They have dealt so far with over 100, call them petitions or applications that people were not happy about when they applied to the institutions, and they've come for resolution.
So that's like the NCA of the information space.
Absolutely.
If I ask, say, not GNA, give me any public institution, I say, give me information, they don't give it to me.
Yes.
I'll go to the commission and say, I asked for this, they refuse to give me, or they charge me so much or
and
so
then
less.
The commission will hear the petition or the application for review and make the necessary orders.
Where is their physical presence? Are they
Jolu. They are in Jolu here in Accra. So far, the commission has dealt with about 101 applications for review. They have imposed penalties of over 1.3 million Ghana cedis on various public institutions and public officers who were not complying, and are doing a pretty good job in regulating how, in particular, the supply side works. And so far, from the supply side, we have recruited, trained, deployed over 320 information officers across public institutions who are serving the general public.
So this is government. You have decided to put people in ministries, departments, and agencies who are like the RTI officers there.
Absolutely.
So anyone who needs information will deal with
where
them.
you go.
Is that part of the law, or this is just you?
It is. This is in accordance with Section 3 of the RTI Act, which requires us to have information units, etc. So what we've done is to put the ATI division of the ISD in effect, and they provide the officers who are there.
So each ministry now would have, or each public office would have that, but it's under the people at your ministry, the information services department,
to go there and then.
And these are ISD officers,
yes,
so they supply that information.
But I must be quick to mention that not all public offices have people from our place who are supporting them.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like we started talking about, we've got an economic challenge, budget constraints, so you can't put, you know, all of the people that you want there at the same time. Though we find that in places where ISD officers have been posted, the compliance with the law is way
Okay.
higher than in other places where Sanda is working as a journalist, and he's also been designated that if somebody brings RTI request,
You deal with it.
yeah, you deal with it.
But
Deal
do
with
you
the same
do you have
kind
like
of-
a percentage that has been covered so far, where you have agents or officers?
Yes, currently out of the 478, we've done about 320, you know, officers who are in these institutions and counting, and we continue to work to populate some more.
I remember when the law was passed, you said you needed some time to
that
get
was
it
the
to
first
run.
6 months.
First 6 months.
Yeah.
So is it fair now to say that everything is going smoothly as planned, RTI?
Well, even, you know, aircrafts that are flying smoothly sometimes have turbulence. So to say everything is moving smoothly will not be, you know, very fair to ourselves. But if I can just give you some data.
Yes, please.
So far, we have received 1,053 information requests.
1,053.
And we have granted 838 of them. That's about 80% of all the requests that have come through have been responded to. The other 20% are in different categories. Some have been rejected based on the law. If you look between sections 5 and 16, there are bases on which you can deny information. There are those who've been deferred or transferred to other institutions or to another time based on what the law says. It gives you a fair sense of how the Act is being complied with across the various public institutions. We continue, as I mentioned, to embark on some public education to help the demand side, because once people know about the law and how it works, then they are better able to, you know, apply the law in their search for information. And I think that gives a fair sense of how we are doing in implementing this law.
So typically, the kind of people who come to ask for information, are they journalists or there could be all
A
manner of
good
people?
number. In fact, I mean, I think that the majority of requests have come from, I mean, if you were grouping them, you say journalists. Then
Journalists,
you
yeah.
have civil society groups. Then you have a bit of academia, and then individuals also coming through.
But there's some information that you can refuse to give, and the law supports
absolutely,
you.
Absolutely.
What kind of information could that be?
Between sections 5 and 16 spell out various categories. If I just may highlight a few. So, for example, information that is used for internal decision making, internal procedures and decision making, you are allowed not to make that information available. And the framers of the law did that because the thinking is that if you do that, you would gradually inhibit people's ability to freely express themselves during decision-making processes, because then they're afraid that sometime down the line somebody will pick it up and use it against them. Information, for example, that borders on some security, measures may be withheld on security grounds. It doesn't mean that security institutions are exempt from the Act. That was one of the challenges that I had in the beginning, where some of the security institutions were saying, we are not under this Act or we are exempt. And I had to write to the Attorney General to give an opinion, which we then shared with them that, no, you're under the Act. But if there's anything specific that you think you cannot share, you invoke the particular exemption, based on which you can't make that information available.
So I can write to the NBI, is it NIB?
NIB.
I can write to National Security Secretary and tell them to give me information, and they are
Absolutely.
obligated to give it to me.
If it is not covered, information that is exempt under the exemptions between sections 5 and 16, then they're obliged to make it available.
Why do we need an RTI in a space where we have a government minister for information, government spokespersons on a number of issues, PROs at all ministries, department, agencies? Why do we need an RTI system?
Okay, so first of all, an RTI, that is a right to information, is not new. It was on the 7th of January 1993 that right was conferred on us. And so even in spite of all that you have spoken about, that right actually exists. Number two, all that you have mentioned between minister, PRO, etc., they honestly don't have the full gamut of information available to them. You may be requesting for some specific information that they have to go dig up and make available to you. And I mean, if you take me as a minister for information, I don't know everything that goes on in government.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave it to the discretion of, let's say, the minister or to somebody, that person may deny you that information without cause. And that is why it's important to have this piece of legislation and then this administrative structure in place so that if somebody wants information, what's the name of your district?
Shai Osudoku.
If somebody wants information from the Shai Osudoku district, they want, let's say, a copy of a contract for the school behind Osudoku, for whatever purpose, they don't have to come to the minister for information. Even if they speak to the PRO of the Shai Osudoku district
They may not have
assembly,
it.
and he wants to obfuscate and not make it available, now there's a legal structure that compels the Shai Osudoku district assembly to make a copy of that contract available to him. And it's very important for transparency and for our democracy.
Do I
as
have
well.
to write it under a specific form and mention that I'm writing under RTI?
We've made it easy. So when you get to these institutions, we have provided copies of application forms
Okay.
there. And the RTI officers have been trained to assist you, even if you are not lettered, to put in an application that conforms to what the law is looking for.
Does the law cover private entities?
It covers some private entities. And so if you look at the law, it says that if you receive public funds or public resources, or you perform public functions, you must comply with the Act. Indeed, we have a couple of institutions that received requests, refused to make that information available. The review applications went to the commission. The commission has determined that they must comply. They have argued that they don't think they must comply, and they've gone to court to challenge it. In fact, today, the lawyers of the commission were in court on one such matter, trying to explain to the court why this institution, though it is not a public institution properly so-called, because it receives public resources and performs public functions, must comply with the Act. But, I mean, if you go to the US, for example, it took the courts to, based on decisions, fully flesh it out for people to get a better understanding. We are just 2 or 3 years in the beginning, and we're hopeful that some of these gray areas will be outlined clearly.
If organizations refuse to give this information, what are the penalties?
Well, the RTI Commission has the discretion to levy penalties. And that discretionary power means that they would examine a number of things. I know of instances in which some institutions have been levied as high as 300,000 cedis. Some have been levied as low as 20,000 Ghana cedis for various, may I say, breaches of the Commission's orders. But now the Attorney General has also, by executive instrument, given the RTI Commission prosecutorial powers.
Okay, what does that mean?
That means that the offenses that exist under the Act can now actually be prosecuted. And once the offenses, if you are prosecuted and if the courts convict you, you may not go to prison, but there will be some pecuniary, may I say.
So for refusing to give the information, the commission
obstructing, yes.
The commission can decide to take you to court.
Yes.
And then prosecute you.
Yes.
And if you are found guilty, you have to pay some money.
You have to personally.
Okay, yeah. I see. Interesting. What about the application process? Digitization is the way to go.
Yeah.
Why do you need a single human being in each office across the country when you could just have everything uploaded onto a computer software where I can just click and download?
Well, thankfully, we've done that. We've rolled out what we call the ORMS, the Online Records Management System, which very shortly we will outdoor. What it does is that it allows the records officers in the institutions to keep a digital mapping template of the records in the institution. There are many institutions in which the records officers sometimes don't even know what information exists in the institution. So first, it allows them to keep that digital map. 2, they are then able to populate what the law calls the information manual. Every public institution must publish an information manual which outlines the kind of information that you have. And it makes it easier for people who are applying or looking for information to know what you have and what you don't have. Then we don't go around in circles. So 1, there's a digital map. 2, helps with the information manual. 3, it will do what you are saying, which now allows applicants to just sit behind the computer and make that application. And then 4, it also then allows the information officer to navigate between the request that has been received and how to fetch that information and inform the applicant that, yes, this is granted, you can pick it up in 7 days and pay X or Y or Z.
You said that a lot of consumers of this have been journalists, largely.
Yes.
And it's only fair too that I'm receiving questions from colleague journalists who want me to ask you.
That's fine.
So my colleague Fred Dufour says, who pays for the surcharge that these public offices are going to be surcharged in case they are found guilty by the commission? Who takes care? Is it the individual who refused to give the information or the institution, which then again means that a taxpayer?
No, so there are various categories. If you have been prosecuted for an offense, the fine by the court will be on you.
Okay.
You as a person.
Individual.
Yes. If, for example, you within an organization are obstructing the work, let's say, of the RTI officer or the RTI process,
That's your personal headache.
the burden is on you.
Okay.
If the institution as an entity is refusing to comply, let's say, with the orders of the commission and a penalty, like in the case of, I think I can cite an example, let's say Keta, Keta Municipal Assembly, got a request, refused to provide the information. The commission got involved, gave an order. Initially, they were being a bit obstinate about it. The commission levied a penalty of 20,000 Ghana cedis. That is on the commission. I mean, that is on the institution, on the assembly, because there have been engagements and then there have been efforts to get them to comply. And as an entity, they are refusing. If the institution seeks to distinguish between a particular person who did the obstruction and the institution, they are free to do so.
Okay.
To make the argument that we as an institution have no interest here. It was X,
Who
Y, Z
prevented us.
person who obstructed.
Okay.
Then that will come back into the bucket of individuals obstructing the work of the commission.
I don't know if this will fall under RTI, but our correspondent for Northeast, Mohammed Aminu, says I should ask you, if the security is not exempt, why is it that these days the police refuse to grant interviews to the media, saying that everything goes to the central command?
Okay, so that is not about RTI.
Okay.
That is more or less about public relations functions.
Okay.
And that is an internal, I think, arrangement within the police service
Mhm.
that all PR requests must go to the central communication
Director.
director for them to vet and be clear on messaging. That's absolutely nothing to do with
RTI.
right to information. If you want some information, let's say from the Ghana Police Service, you can file an RTI request, properly so-called, under the Act. And when you file that, it's not at their discretion to give or not to give to you. They are seized by the law to make it available to you if it is not exempt information. And if it is exempt information, they have to provide the legal basis in accordance with the law between sections 5 and section 16 why they are refusing to make that information available. And if that answer doesn't make sense to you or you're not comfortable with it, you have 3 levels of appeal. First, you appeal to the head of institution, in which case that would be the IGP.
Okay.
So the application doesn't go to the IGP, it goes to the information officer. The law
But
says
if there's a failure,
if there's a failure, the first point of appeal is the head of institution, that's the IGP.
Okay.
If you are not satisfied with the institution's decision, you can then appeal or send in a petition to the RTI Commission.
Okay.
If you are not satisfied with the decision of the commission, you can then go to the courts.
So that's a hierarchy.
That's a hierarchy.
Finally, before we go, you have been at the Information Ministry throughout this government's life. You've seen the RTI become law and you are supervising the setting up and the work so far.
Yeah.
What do you hope to achieve by next year or 2 or by 10 years? What do you want to see done with the RTI that will say, oh, we've succeeded?
First, let me say it's a major point of joy for me because right from the beginning, when I was practicing in the studios where you are sitting, we were all part of those who are shouting, pass the RTI Act now. So I take it as a point of pride when it fell on me to move the final motion in Parliament for it to be passed into law and to be the one leading the implementation. So far, this is how far we've come. I'm hoping that in the next 1 year, we would have been able to ramp up, the number of institutions that have RTI officers there. We only have 320 there now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to ramp up to maybe about the full first set of about 600 institutions because we notice that where we have RTI officers, compliance is top-notch. Where we don't, then we have some more gaps. So as a first step, ramping up the numbers so that we can have higher compliance. As a second step, my expectation will be that when RTI is functioning the way it is functioning, what will end up happening is that access to information would be significantly improved. And people don't have to resort to hearsay and I have heard, but they can actually invoke the law and get the information, particularly for academia. I'm sure when you were in school and you're trying to do your dissertation, you may have come across a scenario where institutions don't want to give information.
Don't mind you.
Now, by law, it's not at the discretion of whoever
They
has
ought
the
to give it to
they
you.
have to give. You just have to invoke the law.
So information is going to be easy now. And government, even though it likes hiding things, this particular one, it cannot hide.
I'm here before you. How am I hiding things?
Oh, governments generally like to hide things.
Don't
Thank you.
generalize. Don't generalize.
Thank you so much, Minister for
Thank you,
Information, Kojo,
Sanda.
for joining us. That has been the... Well, I didn't even get to ask you about first year, but I would love to, but unfortunately...
You should
time
invite
won't.
me for a conversation on the
Maybe we should go to Achimansa and go and eat fufu. After that, we can talk about it.
I hear you.
Thank you so much. So that's the Minister for Information, Kojo Bonsu. My name is Umaru Sanda. Amadu. This has been Point Blank, the segment on Eyewitness News. The show will be back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. I did the show with Safo, production by Sami Wiafe, Beverly London, and the Wilson Kobna. Technical support from Daniel Squashi. Kwakofi handled the new media side of things. Thank you. Have a good night.